Okay, GM everyone, and welcome to another session of the weekly circuit with the Ethereum Nigeria community. And for this session of the weekly circuit, we'll be partnering with ArcQuest and also Pharos Network. And we'll be talking about building on Pharos Network, which is a blockchain architecture that focuses on parallel execution. And for this session, we have Janesh, which is an easy developer of Pharos Network. We have Aliyu, is the ecosystem bridge for Pharos Network, and we also have John from the Aquas platform. So, GM everyone, if you can unmute and introduce yourself. I think we'll start with John. Let's give the floor to Aquas. Hi, John.
GM. Hi, it's a GM everyone. I'm Janesh and Aliu. I'm John. The dev rep for HackQuest in Nigeria and by extension West Africa. And it's a pleasure working with the Pharos team to host the Pharos hackathon. And we look forward to all the projects that will be submitted for the hackathon and wish everyone participating in the hackathon massive success. Thank you.
Okay. And I think I'll give it down to Janesh. Um, the floor is yours.
GM everyone. I'm Janesh. I'm the lead development engineer at Pharos. So I take care of all the developer activities, all the integrations, all the infra related queries at Pharos. You can always reach me out to any problem that you're facing while developing. Happy to help you out.
Okay, thank you for the intro. And then I wanted to give it to you last, Ali. So you're the ecosystem growth lead for Pharos Network. So you're in the best position to give us a general overview of Pharos Network, its mission, and basically everything we need to know about it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Hi, everyone. My name is Lee. I'm an ecosystem lead at Pharos, specifically focusing on the Europe and the US markets. I also kind of like recently joined Pharos about 2 or 3 months ago. So Pharos itself is a layer one blockchain, just like SAS said earlier, with like a parallel execution. Our main focus is on RWAs and of course DeFi use cases, specific use cases. But we also like hop on to like support how other like use cases that actually have like high level opportunities in the market. As an ecosystem lead and as an ecosystem that is still pretty new, we currently on DevNet, and we've had like different ecosystem programs that includes the the Basecamp that is currently going on with in partnership with ArcQuest. Also, we have like different other programs within the ecosystem that includes like the ecosystem grants that supports like projects that are more at an advanced stage, more than like at an MVP stage and beyond. But of course, we are still going to be launching like several different programs that are going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks to months. We plan to have our testnet next week. Also, in terms of like background and everything for the teams and all, we have our teams that are like coming from like AntChain. AntChain is one of the most popular teams in the APAC region that's coming from China. So our founders are actually from like AntChain. Used to be like an executive from AntChain groups. So we also have like in terms of like the different specific opportunities for builders, because I know we're going to have like a lot of builders from the Ethereum Nigeria community. So apart from like the current Basecamp that is going on that everyone can participate in, we definitely will be launching like different other programs that will be specific to like different stages of builders. I believe like Janice can also like give more context into like what is going on and like the kind of opportunities that will be coming up for developers and of course the builders in large extent.
Okay. Thank you for that. That was a very good walk down of the Pharos Network. And for everyone joining us, this session is going to be focused on the ongoing Pharos Reader Camp, and I believe we have a prize pool of $300,000. Wow, that's quite that's a lot. And basically, for we have different tracks. We have the RWA and payments track. We have the Okay. We have the RWA and payment track. We have the DeFi track. We have the innovative track, and then we also have the track for tooling and infrastructure. And I think we have the flow for this. So I'm just going to be giving the floor now to Janesh. So you kind of like give us an intro to Pharos Network and its architecture. Basically, like, and I also saw that it's EVM compatible. So from builders to builder, what are the things we need to know to build on Pharos Network, and if there are some particular tools that are particular to Pharos Network, basically everything we need to do to build on it.
Got it, got it. So to give us an intro of Pharos Network, I hope my screen is visible to everyone. Like,
Okay, give me a moment. Let me add you to stage. Okay. Please add the slide to stage. Okay. Sorry, I'm working on my team here, so trying to make it as seamless as possible. Oh yeah, your slide is coming on.
got it. So the Pharos Network is a EVM compatible blockchain where we are focusing on parallelization. And why we are doing it? So that we can increase the scalability and adoption of the blockchains in the market right now. And we want to go ahead and build a true RWN payment fi ecosystem, which can only be possible through parallelization with high TPS, throughput rates, etc. So it's the first EVM compatible blockchain that is reaching 2 gigagas per second. Currently, we are at somewhere between 1 to 2 on our DevNet. You can say 1.5, somewhere around that. So we are focusing on a lot of different technologies with, let's say, ZK, AI, and everything. We are also going to have our own SPN networks that will allow everyone to build their own infra on the Pharos network. So this is a comparison between the currently available EVM and non-EVM blockchains that are on layer one level and how we are performing as compared to them. So as you can see, as compared to Monad, Aptos, we are performing very well on our DevNet itself. Like for Monad on the testnet, the 10,000 speed is like self-reported, but it lies somewhere between 7 to 10K on a realistic numbers. But here on our DevNet, we are not just stopping at 12K, we are going beyond 12K. We are like around 20K if we can scale up the network. So on DevNet itself, we are a 20K TPS chain and we are scaling it up to 30 and 50 on our testnet and mainnet. So talking about our deep parallelization stack, we have our own consensus model that we have designed. Talking about our consensus model, it's a very different consensus model that what you see in the market right now, where it's an epoch-based model or a leader-based model, and usually it's like a babe and grandpa consensus mechanism. But here at Pharos, it's an asynchronous BFT consensus where multiple validators can simultaneously validate blocks and propose blocks to the blockchain. So in this way, multiple blocks are validated at the same time. Similarly, when we talk about our execution engine, we have a dual VM architecture where we support EVM and WASM execution engine. So builders can build and write contracts in any programming language, let's say C, C++, Java, Python, etc. And all of that will be converted into a WASM bytecode, which can be processed further in the blockchain. But on top of that, we are also EVM compatible, so you can write your contracts in Solidity and start working. But if you are looking to build a very high performance protocol, you should definitely check out Rust and Golang, with which you can build very high performance backend and infra using the chain itself. So that's why it's a DP2 and DP5. So DP1, DP2, DP3, DP4, DP5 are the degree of parallelization. So when we compare ourselves with other blockchains, we are the first blockchain that is able to reach parallelization 5. That is, we are going beyond every existing chain. Secondly, thirdly, talking about our Pharos storage, it's again a very unique model that improves the overall storage capacity and input output mechanisms of the existing available Ethereum blockchain. So we are 15.8 times efficient than the currently available Ethereum storage. And how we are doing that? So basically, we have a very efficient model where everything is logged and structured. So there is a version control Merkle tree where, let's say, for every instance, there is a Merkle tree log that is being generated for the newer stack. So whenever we have to, let's say, whenever a network faces a downtime or a validator falls short back, they can directly reach out or directly connect with the last available storage version. So in this way, the input output is more efficient, as well as the hit rate or the recurrence rate is much better than what we see in current blockchains. Similarly, for our parallelization of level 5, we have spatial processing networks with which you can have your own consensus and execution model, but the security and data will be shared on the main blockchain. So in this way, you can see like how we are scaling the blockchain with the parallelization life 5. And all is being possible with our Pharos pipeline. So in the Pharos pipelining, everything is designed efficiently so that the resources can be allocated in such a way. For example, there is a big NFT competition going on our chain, and most of the resources of the blockchain are required to work on that side of the protocol. So in that case, the network will allocate the bandwidth and resources to that one protocol so that it can efficiently process all the high speed transactions and high throughput rates so that there will be no network congestion in such kind of a situations. Where if you see in most of the blockchains, when there are such competitions or such events happening where there is an NFT sale, the networks face a network congestion and people are not able to claim these NFTs. So they get stuck while in they being in the process. But here, all of these things can be resolved very easily. So this is how the Pharos architecture is all about. This is going to be our upcoming ecosystem. Talking about the tooling and infra. On the Oracle, we have Supra on our Oracle side. We have Zen as an RPC provider. We have Nirvana as an RPC provider. We are working with a lot of infra partners to provide you the best infra to build on Pharos with faster throughput and high frequency development. We have our ecosystem grant as well as Build to Basecamp live at the moment for everyone to participate. You can join our Discord, communicate with me, reach out to me on Discord regarding any queries, and I'll be always there to help you out.
Okay, okay. That was a wonderful presentation, but it was a little fast, so I had to note down some questions. And during your presentation, you mentioned that Pharos Network currently has a transaction per second of up to 20,000 transaction per second.
Yeah.
How is that possible? How is that possible? Is it due to parallel architecture, and how does the consensus mechanism come into play here?
So as I told you about, we have a very parallelized architecture. And with this parallelized architecture, we are able to increase our TPS. If I talk about on the theoretical level, if we improve our consensus model, so it can scale up to 500k TPS on a theoretical model. But it is all possible because of deep optimization that we have done. Let's say when we talk about our execution engine, it has a multi-VM architecture and it is much more faster and efficient in terms of throughput when we talk about other EVM chains. So the opcode is very optimized so that it has a very low latency feeds. And whenever there is a contract that is to be executed in the chain or the EVM, What happens, it actually preloads the state of that contract before the execution, and then it executes multiple contracts in parallel. So in this way, TPS is increased. And when we talk about our consensus, as I told you, it's a asynchronous model. So multiple validators can propose multiple blocks at the same time. Where in the case of Solana, there is an epoch model where they have to propose epoch, and it is like selected time to time from various validator pools, and then each epoch is validated for each block. So that's why it slows down the overall processing of these blockchains, and that's why at Pharos you are getting a very much higher TPS with just low cost infra. So if we increase our core capacity to CPU capacity from 32 to 64 cores, we can even scale it up to 100 200k TPS on a practical level on a real world scenario. But when we talk about Visa and MasterCard, they're processing around 80k to 100k transactions per second. So we just have to be a realistic at a realistic reach of 80 to 100k TPS to be more uh, real world scenario, to work in a real world scenario.
Okay. Um, okay. I don't know if it's my network connection or I lost Chinese for that.
We can
Okay.
actually hear you.
Give me a second. Okay, I think I'm back now. My network was unstable there for a bit. Okay, so you explained the parallel execution architecture, but one thing I've noticed was that when it comes to parallel architecture, one major bottleneck that always happens is for different transactions to be parallel, they have to be updating different states. So what happens in a situation whereby all the different parallel execution or transaction are all trying to update one particular state? Does that slow down the blockchain? Does that create a bottleneck? Or how would the virtual machine engine handle different parallel transaction updating one particular state?
So as I told you about the when it compares to various validators, they don't compete among state of each validation block. So what they do is they basically propose newer validation model, and in that they just work on the validating that particular block rather than competing with other blocks. So multiple validators can propose at the same time, regardless of being competing for the same state. So as I told you about, there are multiple asynchronous states in which they can propose the block without competing with each other, and that's how we are the solving the parallelization. And talking about in deep at deeper level, we have Pharos pipelining. So in that pipelining, all the contracts are preloaded or are already in their own state of execution. So all the things are picked up accordingly. Let's say for a high performance dApp or a high performance protocol, and depending upon the chain scenario, let's say if there is a very high demand for a one single protocol, the state of the blockchain will work accordingly because all the resources will move particularly to that side of the protocol. So in this way, like we are dividing the whole resources depending upon the network requirement required by all the dApps and protocols being built on Pharos Network. So they won't compete with the state of it in itself, but they will propose newer blocks in a separate way.
Okay, okay. Okay, that actually makes sense. I've always had that question. Whenever I get to talk to people or founders of parallel network. That's always one particular bottleneck that everybody encounters in their parallel architecture. So your slide was actually pretty fast, and the major focus of this session is to really give like a should I say like a deep or detailed overview on what developers should expect when trying to build on Pharos Network. So like are there some particular tools like um, for other EVM blockchains we have MetaMask and we also have others working seamlessly with it. So like are there some particular resources that are particular to Pharos Network? Like
Yep,
how would the
definitely. As
typical workflow okay,
yeah,
sorry. How would the typical workflow of building a dApp on Pharos Network be like?
got it. So, in terms of building, the overall experience remains the same. They have the support for Hardhat and Foundry. So, developers can use Hardhat, Foundry, and build on the chain itself without any issues. They can use their normal MetaMask, get the faucets, and start building. Talking about what are the differences, the only major difference is gas structure, because we are operating on 2 gigagas per second. So that's why there is a little bit difference, but on the documentation everything is provided, so developers can refer to that and increase the gas limit. So actually what you can do is it allows more gas to be accommodated in a contract, so it actually increases the overall performance and overall experience of developers while building on the chain. So it improves the extensibility of the contract. So in this way they can increase their gas limit and work on the Pharos chain.
Oh, okay, okay, that actually makes sense. That means Pharos Chain has like a testnet network that they can bridge from Sepolia to.
So basically it's an L1 blockchain, and as I told you, it's on DevNet stage. So for the resources, they can definitely check out our onboarding doc. So on the Pharos onboarding doc, developers can easily set up everything. Let me share that in the chat itself.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the onboarding doc, everything is shared, and you can connect to the RPC, Grafana, WebSocket, and work on the things accordingly.
Okay, okay, that's actually that makes sense. I'm going to go through the onboarding myself. I had some prior. I had to check it out prior to so I think my next question now would be to Ali, since is the ecosystem lead. Janesh, thank you for the very, very wonderful overview. That was amazing. So, Janesh, from the presentation, sorry, from presentation Janesh made, the First Network has one network. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's
Okay,
breaking up.
stable. Okay, how's the audio? Is the audio okay? I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah, I think it's good now.
Okay, perfect. So, from the presentation that Janesh made, he said the first network has a transaction per second of up to 20K transaction per second. And I feel like if you have a network that has up to that level of speed, it would be like the perfect blockchain for building on-chain gaming applications. So, like, what's your take on that? Is the gaming industry something Veros Network is interested in, or
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a good question. So, of course, just like I mentioned earlier, our primary focus is like on the hardware and like DeFi and payment side. But we definitely welcome like every innovative project, like which of course gaming is part of it, right? So,
eh,
as we are not like we are not gatekeeping any projects, to be honest. But we just like we have like a priority in terms of like RWAs and DeFi and payment, right? So, but then we definitely welcome and support like any other innovative projects that are willing. If you look at the base camp as well, that we have like different tracks, and other like innovative track is also like one of the tracks that we have there that is specifically focusing on other project that is like basically outside of like RWAs and payment, right? So the same thing for the grant program that we have. So if anyone is building around like anything that is outside of our like top priority focus on the RWAs and payment side, we're happy to like have conversation with them and kind of like explore synergies and see how things goes from there, right? So we're not like really restricting other projects to like building on Pharos.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually that's wonderful. And I'm just pardon me, I'm just going through documentation. And then also, can you talk more on the builders grant?
Yes. So currently we have recently launched a $20 million grant program, specifically focusing on three key verticals, right? The RWA side, the DeFi and payment side, and the innovative project side. So the innovative project side could be like gaming, it could be like NFTs, it could be like any other kind of like specific verticals that are not covered in the previous two, right? So so for this grant program, we are definitely looking into like working with projects that are at least at a minimum of an MVP stage, up there that can easily like drive in more like activities and of course more follows into the ecosystem. Right? So there is also going to be like more program as time goes on. Of course, we look to like have more program to support projects that are not very advanced as well, that probably doesn't even have an MVP yet, and the ones that have like an advanced stage, right? So, but yeah, the current like ways to support is like we also have like a lot of ways to support apart from the grant program. We support with marketing activities, perhaps even like in terms of like fundraising, product, making sure that we help all of these projects with like the right product market fit, and giving them all of the necessary ecosystem support that they need to like get into the market, right? So that's some of the things we're currently using to support builders, but we are more flexible. So if there are any builders that really need something that they feels like we can support them with, we're happy to like get in touch, speak with them, and see how we can support them.
Okay, that's amazing. So I think if you've been really keeping up to date with crypto Twitter, you must have realized that aside a should I say protocol or a blockchain creating opportunities for builders, the I would say like the next phase now or the next way to get more adoption in the market is to create more opportunities and grants for content creators alike. So like what is your take on that? Is that something that Pharos Network will be diving into creating opportunities for not just builders and also creators as well? Like are there
I think
opportunities
you
for
are,
creators aside from builders?
yeah, I think you are breaking a bit, but it looks good now.
Okay. So my question was that aside support for builders, are there other supports for, say, content creators also available on Pharos Network?
Yeah, so I mean, if we're currently like at a very early stage, like just like we're currently at DevNet, we're definitely going to be running like rolling out different programs that will support like different community building strategies, builders, and of course, every kind of like other verticals that would definitely help us to grow the ecosystem. But I mean, it also would not be too far from like our biggest focus, which is like our biggest focus would be like our priority focus would be to support like builders and like everybody that's kind of like targeting or perhaps like focusing on RWAs and payment side. Of course, we will definitely roll out like programs that bring in other builders as well, or perhaps that supports like every other community members, right? So and then in terms of like community, we would also be having like I think our community teams also have a lot of things that they are planning to like, drive more community growth, which would definitely go to like, creator communities and of course like, different other communities that could help us to like construct our communities across the ecosystem, right? So we are builders first, like, we are just like we are payment and RWAs first when it comes to like our articles, right? Also in terms of like, the ecosystem, we are builders first, but definitely we also want to make sure that we support everyone.
Oh, okay, okay. So RWA, real world assets. That is okay. That's actually quite amazing. So thank you for that, Ali. I'm going to let you leave the spotlight. That's a lot of questions for you at the time, but thank you for providing answers to my questions. So I'm coming back to you again, Janesh. I'm going through the documentation, and I saw that building on Pharos goes beyond just Solidity. I also saw support for Rust. Can you talk more on that?
Yeah, so as I told you about, we have two multi-VM architecture. One is EVM, one is WASM. So developers can easily code in Rust, Golang, or any other programming language that they want to do. But currently, we are more focused on EVM because from the adoption standpoint, like most other developers are easy to build in EVM environment, so they will rightly pick up the Solidity programming language. But for developers who want to build a high performance protocol, high performance trading platform, or high performance payment infra, so they can definitely work on Rust and Golang to build their protocols for high performance and efficiency. Because when we talk about the processing speed of Rust and Solidity, obviously Rust is more robust as it's a server-side programming language. Similarly, Golang is there. So that's why we have the added support for both of these programming languages.
Oh, okay, okay. That's amazing, and that means from time to time the focus of Pharos Network would also go into interoperability protocols as well, because the documentation says call EVM from WASM.
Yeah.
I think we've just lost again.
Sorry, I'm back. My apologies for that. I had some network disconnection there. Let me know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, okay, cool, cool, cool. And last thing I heard was talking about interoperability. And I hope you got to finish on that point. Okay. So I think that is on that. For the next for the next segment of this session, I'll be calling on John to give us an overview of the Aquest platform and also talk about the Pharos builder base camp that is currently going on. So, John, I don't know if you can hear me, and over to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'll be sharing my screen, then quickly run us through the Aquest platform.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
No, I have to add you on stage.
Oh,
Oh yeah, it's coming up.
are we good now?
Yeah, we're good. We're good to go.
All right. Yeah. So, for the Aquest platform, it's a Web3 based learning platform, and that offers self-paced Web3 learning and hackathon hosting. We offer all of this for free to the ecosystems, where we take developers from Web 2 to from 0 to 1. We also run even those that have experience in the Web 3 ecosystem as developers can also go to participate in any of our learning courses or any of our courses on Hackfest. We collaborate with ecosystems to, to curate our courses. And for each course on the or each track on the Hackfest platform, after taking the course, a certificate is issued, which is recognized by the ecosystem issuing the certificate. Alongside the learning track, we also have hackathons, where we host hackathons for ecosystems, and notable among them right now is the Polarity Hackathon, which is 10 days left to go for submissions. The platform offers you as many information for the hackathon as possible, as to educate you on how to navigate through the hackathon and provide resources for you to learn, for you to understand what is required and what you should do and what's expected of you in the hackathon. We have this button here where you can click to join the Pharos Telegram channel, community channel. And then down over here, on this tab, we have the prizes and the prize and the judges, where you see a breakdown of the prize pool for each track and how the judging criteria and allocation of points would be like. Over here, we have rescheduled for all activities that will be related to the hackathon. And currently, the only one remaining is the one that will be done tomorrow in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, which, judging by the time zone, I believe it should be going on right now in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. And then we've already done for India, done for China, Vietnam is the next. Then we have resources here where you find links that useful links for you to navigate through the Pharos network and understand what is expected, how it works, and all that is expected. You will get tutorial links here on how to deploy to Pharos, get the dev documentation and onboarding over here. Then we have idea banks. If you're running out, if you can't think of anything to build, we have the idea bank tab where some projects ideas have been listed already. They'll be curated. You can just pick any of them and start building the project and submit for the hackathon. For more information, this is where you find the co-hosts, the judges, and community partners and media partners, the mentors for this hackathon. Then we have the project gallery where you see other competitors submissions for while building on Pharos for building for the Pharos hackathon, and you need test token. We have you covered on Hackquest where Faucet comes into play. We have the DevNet Faucet, the Pharos Faucet here where you enter your wallet address and request for 2 ETH, which you can use to deploy and test your project while building. And after all of that, for every hackathon you register, you can see them under my hackathon. For the ones you want to participate in, see it under my hackathon, and you can navigate through the project ideas. And then also, if you are not able, if you don't find any idea among these ones here that you think you can work on, or it's uh, or you don't feel like the idea, you're not feeling the idea for yourself, you can go through our project archive here where you find all the projects that have been submitted on the HackQuest platform, and look for one of the ideas that resonates very well with you, and then build yours to participate for the Pharos hackathon. Um, yeah, that covers everything about the HackQuest platform for this case. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's amazing. So, Arcois basically is the number one stop for builders from everything hackathon to learning and also faucets. I think that's amazing. Arcois
Yeah,
really
that's
has it covered. Yeah, so it's amazing, and we are very very happy to be in partnership with Arquest and bringing all of the best hackathons to the Ethereum Nigeria community. So I think that basically covers everything on building on Pharos Network. And I am hoping on our next session we might have like a little hands-on moment. I think that will be for Janesh. Like, are we going to be having like a hands-on session in the next
Yeah,
one?
definitely. Like in the next session, I'll be going much deeper into the architecture. Like today, it was more of an overview, but in detail, we'll go into the Pharos architecture, like how it actually works. So in the first session, I just wanted to keep it very light in terms of explaining everything. But in the next session, we can go actually much deeper into the core architecture of Pharos, and we can see how we can do the development as well on Pharos.
Okay. That is one session I would not be missing. And I really love the fact that it is actually that fast. So, is there
Yeah.
anywhere we can get like a start on first network on the current transaction per second, or probably the ether scan of first network? Is there a link
Yeah,
to that already?
we have our Pharos Explorer. It's in the onboarding doc that I've shared. It's directly you can directly
Okay,
access it from there. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that basically covers everything. But um, now I'm going to like to do a little something. Now we've talked about Pharos Network, we've talked about blockchain, we've talked about how we want to make execution faster and everything. If you don't mind, we would like to get to know you outside Pharos Network. Like, how did you get into the Web3 space? I think I'll start with Ali. Since you're the ecosystem lead, it's a very, very honorable role to actually get to that point. And I'm sure a lot of our builders and our audience are aspiring to get to that level. So, like, how did you get there? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really solid question actually. I'm also familiar with a lot of things that is going on within the Ethereum Nigerian community. Enoch is a good friend as well, right? So I mean, I started my career as a software engineer as well. Moving from there to like become a founder, set up like a few companies, exited from there, and then moved to OKS. And then I was kind of like the first hire of OKS in the Africa region back then. I was still living in Nigeria. From there, I led the expansion of like OKS into Africa region, and then from there I joined Cell Foundation as an ecosystem lead. Right, initially focused on Africa, then from there to like more of like a global ecosystem activities. And after that, I joined Happy Drum Foundation to lead like ecosystem programs, across different verticals. Spent like almost 2 years there. So there's been like a career, career being built from from scratch since 2016, where I started as a software engineer till now. And yeah, I think there's no any shortcuts that was taken. It's just like moving from one place to another, like just trying to like grow up from there. Right? So that's just like the overview. So I'm not sure if that answers the question correctly, but I'm happy to like expand on anything there if you want to like know more.
Okay, yeah. I think that's career projection. That's a lot of tenacity and just going through it. Like from the bottom of, I meet a lot of Web3 developers that, and I go back and I check on them after 5 years and I see them either in Denver. It's like we go from developer to ecosystem wide. We don't just want to develop. And okay, yeah, since in your years of experience and in light of this particular hackathon currently going on, and the major focus or the highest price pool was on real world assets. So, like, if you were to explain very briefly, like, what would be one of the significantly key things to build for a real world asset, something that would stand out, that has not been built before, like something in the direction of what Pharos Network is aspiring for, what would
Yeah.
that be?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll take it from a perspective of a Nigerian. As a Nigerian as well, I'll think from that perspective, right? So,
Yeah,
I think that there are a lot of like real world asset, like opportunities in the in the region. Of course, generally in Africa, right? Thinking about like local stable coins, like backed assets. Thinking about like synthetic stable coins that can actually have like lending, like borrowing, like activities. And of course, there seems to be like an opportunity for even like real world asset marketplaces across Africa. There are a lot of like real world assets use cases that could easily be be utilized. Of course, because of the fact that there are a lot of let's say non-traditional activities, or let's say like traditional activities is too like is too like that's like the biggest thing when it comes to like African markets. But I still feel like there are ways for us to like push that paradigm shift into like the parts where people start to think around like digital asset on chain, right? So and then there are ways to like to enable people to like use I think anything that enables people to like use digital assets on chain without them knowing, like let's say in the real estate factors, like we have a South Africa and Nigeria that is building like a real estate like protocols. That's like a real world asset use cases, right? So I feel like there are still like several other use cases that are actually like relevant to the country, of course, to the region itself, like the stable coins as a part as well, lending as well, and all sort of things, right? So it just depends on like how developers sees like the opportunities like in the bigger and broader perspective. But there seems to be like a lot of those opportunities.
okay, okay, that is actually very good. So for everyone watching, please build solutions that kind of abstract away the you are using the blockchain. I think in the ecosystem we call it chain abstraction. So if you can abstract away all that complexity to a point where I can actually send my grandma USDT, I would appreciate it. She already loses her ATM password. She cannot keep track of any private key. So if you can build solutions around that, that would be very very amazing. And thank you for that, Ali. And we have Janesh, just like introduce us. Like you are being the devil of Pharos Network. That is a very very important role. Like how's that been?
Sure, definitely. So, talking about my journey itself, I started my journey as a blockchain developer. I went into core blockchain development or protocol development. Like I built bridges and blockchains in my earlier days. So during that time, I worked really much on the core protocol and engineering side of the things. And then after I was that promoted to the solutions engineering role. So in the solutions engineering role, my core was to get developers, builders, and even partners onboarded to the chain and the protocol itself. And that's where I evolved more as a DevRel in my initial space or initial organization. And then I keep moving forward and work with a lot of other ecosystems, let's say Chainlink, Solana, Zcash, and a lot many more prominent names in the space that I have worked with. And that's where I'm working with Pharos because for the past 2 years I'm being building heavily in the RWA space, working with institutional partners, helping them onboarded into Web3. So that's where I find my place at Pharos, and I'm as a part of the team looking after the infra and integrations and all sort of things.
Okay, okay. Okay, so from a developer's perspective, what do you think is missing in the RWA space? Like, what are the major pitfalls? What is missing?
I mean, obviously, the infra is one of the important things that every institutional or TradFi partner looks into the picture. With Pharos, definitely that's not going to be an issue because we are solving from the ground up in terms of feasibility, scalability, composability, everything is there. Talking about other things that are like important in RWA are regulations, compliant licensing. That's also an important part because you can never go with a blockchain that doesn't have a compliant infra or that doesn't do KYC and all sorts of things. So these are another important factors that you have to take into the consideration while you are focusing on RWAs.
Okay, okay. Okay, thank you for that. I think that kind of like puts everything together. Compliance is also important when we are building RWA since they're turning into real world assets. We're no longer just dealing with cryptocurrency. Now we're dealing with something real in the real world. So thank you for that, Janesh. That was really, really amazing. And this is the part where we now kind of like put for the developers building on the first builder base camp, like what apart from the Aquest platform, where can they get more info? Is there a Discord server? Where else? Documentation, like anything else?
So we have our Telegram channel specifically for the builders building in the builder base camp, and that can be provided by the HackQuest team, so they can directly join the group. And I am there in the group helping out developers regarding everything related to development.
Okay, okay, very, very good. So I think we've come to the end with that, and this is where I say thank you to the Aquest platform and for the partnership. Thank you, Aliu. It's been wonderful having you here. Thank you, Janesh. You are one of, I would say, you're one of the top tier developers I've had the opportunity to have a conversation with. I really, really appreciate that. So, thank you, everyone. John, do you have any closing remark, or are we good to go?
Yeah, we're good to go. So I dropped the link for the Telegram channel. You can join that on social media. So we're good to go. Thank you
Okay,
very much for the time, everyone.
okay. Bye, everyone.
All right, guys.
Have a
Thank you very
wonderful
much.
rest of the day.
Bye bye.
Bye.